Here comes the next question. And this one is the guy's headline is career. He says, hey guys, I've been working at this company since 21 and haven't gotten a raise yet. I guess with pandemic stuff, I kind of lost track. I used an inflation calculator I found online, and from my start date, it said inflation has gone up 10% since I got my job. If I go ask for a raise, I'm working under the assumption I need to ask for at least 10%. My concern is if I ask for and receive just the 10% bonus, I would be back where I started. Or should I not look at the inflation percentage like that? Should I not look at the inflation percentage like that when considering my salary? Any tips for how to properly articulate the need for a raise are also appreciated. So basically, how do I ask for a raise and how much do I ask for?
Right.
Well, good luck asking for 10% in one go.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of times if you wait too long to ask for the raise, you're not going to get what you should have gotten if you would have asked along the way. Because it's too hard to make that jump, which is quite honestly why a lot of people change companies, because they go to the new company and the new company is like, oh, yeah, sure, we pay X for this job. And that's, you once again comes back to doing your research. What is your job worth out there in the real world? Maybe they overpaid you when you got hired. I don't know. Maybe your industry's having troubles and they're not making as much money. It's now, are they going to fire you if you ask for a raise? No, unless you call them a dirty name or something when they turn you down. I doubt it. It's part of the thing of asking for a raise. But you have to know what you're asking, know what the going rate is. Have they hired anybody else since you've been there for basically the same job at a bit more money? It's only fair to try to stay even with those people. There's a lot of variables. And the last variable is you ask, they say no, you think you can earn more elsewhere. You go look for another job. But don't quit this job until you have the new job. Because that's the worst thing you can ever do. Don't say, well, I'm worth more than that. I'll go somewhere else. You're treating me badly. Maybe they are. But don't treat yourself more badly, badder, something, by quitting and walking away.
Yeah, so those are, good tips for how to actually approach asking for it. There's a way to go about that. But then from, the other component is what you're actually going to ask for. And so, let's take the 10% out because that's sort of a product of the current situation we're in. It's very tough to go and ask for such a huge jump all of a sudden. But say inflation was down at 2 or 3%. Most people get around a 2 or 3% raise every year, at least in most corporate jobs. Do you go for, okay, I want to be do I ask for the 2 or 3% and I'm in the same spot, or do I try and go 1% higher? Okay, I'm 1% farther along than I was last time. How should they look at it from that perspective?
Well, you want to explain to them why you're worth more. Have you learned something? Did you pick up an extra skill? Are you doing more of the job than you were hired for? Are you worth more to the company than you were when you got hired?
It's always nice to be able to show them. It's always nice to be able to show them how you're making money for the company.
Right. I'm doing this job and this job, or I'm helping this group and I'm doing this. And if you had to replace me, you'd have to hire 2 people or 1.5 people. And, you have to lay out your case. Everybody's busy. And not everybody's paying attention. It's really important to you. But say your boss has 20 people that he's responsible for. Well, so you're now worth 1/20th of his attention. So sometimes you have to remind people why you're wonderful. why they need to keep you around. Why? Otherwise, you just show up, you work every day, you go home. Hey, they must be happy. You know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
The grease. There you go.
But you know, there's squeaky and there's screeching. Start to be a screeching wheel, and they replace you. A little squeaky, they, you know,
and
they grease you up every now and then to keep you happy because they like having you around.
Yeah, and I haven't been through this enough to know, you know, I feel like when you go and ask for a raise, there's a negotiating element to it. You know, you've laid out how you make your case. This is why I'm worth so much more. And then you sort of throw out a number, I'd like this percent. And there's some give and take to that. No, we won't do that, but we'll do this. And then you have to go back and forth from there.
Well, part of it is, you know, look, a big company, assuming this is a bigger company, they have budgets. So your manager has $1 million in his budget for the year. That's what he's allowed to spend. He goes over that budget, he gets in trouble, stays under it, he does well, maybe he gets a bonus. So the question is, you know, how do you take more of that budget for yourself versus somebody else? You know, and you can't, it's not good to show and so, you know, well, Bob over here, you know, he's sick all the time. He's had COVID 18 times and never shows up to work. I keep covering for him. I need, you know, he shouldn't get a raise. I should get his raise. No, don't do that. Just go in and say, look, I've stayed late. I've helped out. I've covered for other people. I've learned by doing this. I've learned a lot. I am able to cover several positions in this. I really believe that I'm, you know, more valuable to the company, and I'd like to see that value reciprocated in its form of pay.